Hey guys, we're back out in the garage working on the JAWA once again, and just as a reminder, this is the JAWA 633-5 um, uh, oil master. We're just, as you can see here, I'm trying to work on taking the first piston out. So far, I've taken taken the spring clip out of holding the wrist pin in here. Um, so we've taken both of those out, one on each side, and we're going to use this tool to actually push the pin out of the piston here. Now inside this piston, if it has not been in, no one's been into it before, and that's a little bit up in the air at this point, but when these were original, they used needle bearings, and I think there's something like 22 needle bearings in this thing, something like that. And they're really tiny, and so to mitigate one of those falling into the case, I've put this tape here. So that's why I've got tape kind of mitigating it, and I'm pushing it to the outside of the engine as opposed to pushing it onto the inside. So that's why I've got this set up the way I do. So we're gonna give her a go here and see just exactly what happens. And hopefully we don't have too much of an issue. I'm going to move the camera here a little bit so you can see what I'm up to here. Yeah, I think that's a better view. You'll have a good look of this coming out as it comes. So yeah, there she comes. So far so good. So that's our wrist. Is it a wrist pin? I think that's the name. Yeah, I think so. Popping that one out. Nice. Just about there. I'm trying to be a little careful again because of all those needle bearings. I got me a little freaked out. Just about there. And there she is. There she is. There's the wrist pin. Okay. Okay, now we'll back this out carefully. Actually, I guess I have to push all the way through. Yeah, it's not attached, so I have to push this all the way through. There's an end on this tool that, yeah, and you'll see it coming out now. That's not the wrist pin, that's the end of the tool that I'm using. Once that comes out, those needle bearings are probably going to want to fall out. Okay, maybe it's got cage ones in it. Try to get this out of here. Not too sure. Oh, there go a bunch of needle bearings. Yeah, okay. That's why we had the tape there. Kind of figured that would happen. I don't plan on reusing those. I've got some caged bearings that I'm going to put back in, rightly or wrongly, just because it's easier. Now we're going to take this out. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there's one needle bearing. Great. Okay. Alrighty, well, we've dropped a bunch of them, but yeah, needle bearings. Okay, we're going to have to count these up, make sure that we got the right number. So yeah, so I think I'm going to go and start picking needle bearings up off the floor. So I'm going to pause the video here. Okay, so we've obviously got the piston off now. Again, just the one so far. We may take the other piston out as well, but at this point, I don't think we have to. We'll find out as we go forward here, but I think we can get away with just taking the one out to split the case. So the next step here, a couple of things will be to, I've got, I believe, all of the fasteners holding the entire case off. So all of the screws, all of the bolts have been taken out. There is a spring clip here for sure that needs to come out, and I'm not sure if there's one here or not. I'm gonna have a closer look at that. I'm not absolutely sure, but there very well may be. And then the other thing to do was for us to go and grab a puller and to start splitting the case. So that's going to be the next step here. I just wanted to show you, I think I mentioned previously that I thought I saw a little bit of surface rust on the piston rod here, so I thought I'd just kind of show you what it looks like. You know, there's no loose rust, there's no, you know, it really is just for the most part, a coloration thing. Obviously this was a cast part, and so it probably was never smooth to begin with, but we know that from the you know, from the other bolts that we took out, that there definitely was a bit of a moisture issue here, and that is, you know, evidenced here. But it doesn't affect the you know, the crankshaft at all, or the crankshaft bearings or anything like that. So, and if we look at the, you know, if we look at the, you know, the race inside here, it is all, you know, it's all really in great shape. So there's no cause for concern at all here. It's just a sign of this engine sitting for God knows how many decades, at least a couple, probably 3 or more. So anyways, yeah, so I think we're making some good progress. Looking forward to splitting the case. I'm going to prop the engine up a little bit. Going to go grab some 2x4s and try to get a little bit more stable so that it'll sit nicely on its side while we're doing that. And grab a puller, and we'll see if we get see what we can do next. So that'll be the next step. Okay, guys. So we're back at her here. So I've taken the snap ring out of here. Also taken the neutral switch out of here as well. All of the bolts have been removed, and I've put a puller on here. So we're going to give her a shot and see if we can start splitting the case. So we're going to start moving this slowly and just see what happens. So. Yeah, don't see any action happening there yet. There's a fair bit of pressure on that. Makes me wonder if I've actually got all the bolts out. Grab a rubber hammer here. Give this a little bit of pound as we go here. Okay guys, we're continuing on splitting the case here. As you can see from the last little bit there, this was a lot tighter than I ever dreamt that it would be to get this case off. But I have been very carefully and gently working it, as well as hitting it a little bit with a rubber hammer and a piece of wood here and there, just to kind of get it moving. And it looks like it's starting to move now. So I'm just going to continue on with the process here carefully. But yeah, this thing is really, doesn't come apart really that easy. So we're just going to take her slow and steady and try our best not to have any issues. That's the goal. So. She does seem to be coming. kind of coming. You know, being aluminum case, I don't want to get too carried away, needless to say. I suspect everything on this thing is really over-engineered. Everything seems to be, you know, made of decent solid parts, but I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. So we're just taking our time with it here. As you can see, she's coming pretty darn good now. We're definitely making some headway. Shouldn't be too much longer here. Well, actually, probably will be longer. Oh, I felt something kind of give. Really good. Okay. Actually, I'm going to let's just pause here and move the camera so you can see the next bit that I'm doing here. Okay, so we've got the case split sufficiently that we can now remove this centerpiece that actually goes in between the two halves of the engine, if you will, and you can kind of see it hanging there. When the two halves are together, this is what essentially seals the two halves, and this is also why I'm thinking I don't need to take more than just the one piston out as well. So we're just going to grab that and pull it out. There you go. So yeah, it's pretty gummed up, eh? Apparently these are oil channels for something or other. Not too sure, but we're going to clean it up, and yeah, that has to come out. And now, because we have that out, now as you can see, the rod itself can kind of go in between the two halves as we pull the case off. So that's, I think this is actually coming along. That's good. Okay, let's continue the process here. Yeah, oh yeah, she's releasing there. I think that might have got it. Yeah, I think that got it. So now what I gotta do is I gotta take this this off. So I'm just gonna pause the video here while I take the puller off. Okay, before we actually pull the case off, I just out of curiosity wanted to just take a look in here and have a little look around. So you can see there's a boss right here that slides into the case when it goes and gets put back together again. There's our gears. That's why we're coming in here. And if we look a little farther over, a little hard to see, but if you look a little farther right down, I'll see if we get the flashlight on it. In there, we can kind of begin to see the shift forks. A little hard to see right now, but we'll take a look at all that later once we get this completely apart. Just good idea to have a little look around at it here, just, you know, just before we actually pull the top off. So, yeah, cool, interesting. Hey guys, okay, we are back out in the garage. Gonna do the unveiling here and see what we got going inside the case. So we're gonna take the top off here gently, and see what's going on. Oh, I see. Hang on. The piston rod's in the way here. Yeah, we're gonna pause the video there. Okay guys, I just want to show you what was going on there. As you can see, I tried to lift the lid up, or lift the top of the engine off. It's not really the top, is it? Split the engine in half by pulling one side off, and it was prevented from doing so, and I couldn't really figure out why until I looked over here, and the actual piston rod here was in this position, jammed up against the case here. And when I look at this more closely, not only do you have to have this piston rod, let's see if we can kind of see in there a bit for you, but let's move it to one side so you can kind of see the two sides of this here. You have to actually have this thing, I guess, essentially at this rod at top dead center. I would imagine the opposite, you know, if this one was at top dead center, that might also work. But in any event, you need to have that rod perfectly aligned with this opening to get that out. So that's what was holding this thing up. So, you know, hey, if anybody else is working on one of these things, luckily I was able to unjam it really, you know, pretty quickly and easily. But, you know, I could imagine you could get yourself in a little bit of a pickle there. So anyways, rookie mistake on my part, just thought I'd show you. Okay, now that we know what's going on a little bit better, we're going to give this another go here. So I'm just going to make sure that this stays aligned. Try to. And try pulling this off. And look at that. She comes right off. Alright. Yeah, hey. Can you see in there? Oh. She looks pretty good. Okay, cool. All right, so here are our gears, and these are the shift forks right in here that are the issue. So right now it's currently in neutral. I know to go and get this apart, you pull this pin out. No. Almost a little hesitant to do that initially until I kind of see these things a little bit better. Actually, it looks a lot better in here than I'd ever expected. Here, let me show you. Yeah, it actually looks pretty darn good in here. There doesn't appear to be anywhere on the teeth, unlike, you know, other parts of this engine that we've seen. This looks really nice and clean in here. It all looks quite good. This is your shifting mechanism here. These different gates would represent different gears. I believe we're in neutral right now. I'm pretty certain we're in neutral. Maybe not. I think we are. Yeah, I may have to do a little bit more figuring. Now, I know that to get all these gears out, you just pull this pin and then basically everything will then come apart. I've seen a couple of other videos on it, but I think, yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of a look at this before I just pull the pin, if you will. Yeah, so we're going to take a little look at that, make sure we know a little bit more about what we're doing before we actually do it. At least that's going to be the goal. That'll be the dream and the plan. So yeah, we'll be back here in a bit.